Most men spend their lives believing women are turned on by wealth, looks, or clever words. They work tirelessly to polish their appearance, to accumulate achievements, to memorize lines they hope will impress. Yet, despite all this effort, they watch attraction slip through their fingers. The truth is brutal. None of that guarantees desire. Carl Jung once said, "People don't have ideas, ideas have them." The same is true for attraction. It is not chosen, it seizes you. Freud called it the force of the unconscious, the invisible drives, instincts, and buried longings that shape human behavior before thought can intervene. Attraction happens here first, long before reason enters the room. And if you do not understand this, you will always feel powerless in the presence of women. This is why the dating world feels so merciless to men. You see the same story over and over. A man gives his best, proves himself logically, only to be discarded for someone who seems to do less, yet receives more. Jung described this paradox. The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. Attraction is not earned by arguments. It ignites through unconscious triggers. If you don't know how to work with these triggers, you are invisible. If you do, you become unforgettable. Think of it this way. You have probably met a woman who was stunning, intelligent, everything a man could ask for, and yet she felt nothing for you. Meanwhile, another man with no superior qualities captured her attention. Why? Freud would answer simply, because desire is irrational. It is not about what should attract. It is about what actually penetrates the unconscious. And women, whether they admit it or not, are searching for these deeper signals, not the surface ones. This is where most men sabotage themselves. They appeal to the logical side of a woman's mind. They give reasons. I'd be a good partner. I'm successful. I'm stable. But attraction is not logical. It's primitive. Jung observed that the unconscious communicates in symbols, not arguments. And when you unknowingly send the wrong symbols, she feels nothing. But when you send the right ones, her psyche lights up with recognition and hunger. She doesn't know why, but she feels it. Now imagine having the ability to create this reaction on command, not through manipulation, but by aligning with what women are already wired to respond to. Imagine never again being confused about why she pulled away, never again wondering why your efforts failed, because you finally understood what makes her feel both safe and electrified in your presence. This knowledge is not a game. It is power. The kind of power most men never touch in their lifetime. That is exactly what I am going to give you here. 5 psychological keys to attraction, grounded in the teachings of Freud and Jung, backed by the patterns of the unconscious that govern desire. These principles are subtle, but once you apply them, women will feel compelled to lean in closer, often without knowing why. You will stop hoping for chemistry and instead create it deliberately. You will stop chasing and start becoming the man who pulls. The first of these keys is hidden in something so ordinary. Most men overlook its power completely. The way you look at her. Eye contact is not just about confidence. It is about speaking directly to her unconscious. Freud noted that unconscious communication is the essence of human relation. And Jung insisted that the eyes are not only the window to the soul, but the mirror of the anima and animus. Where and how you look can change whether she feels trust, safety, or tension that sparks desire. And once you learn the precise way to use this, you will understand why some men make women feel seen and desired, while others vanish in the background of her mind. When you meet a woman, she will notice your eyes before almost anything else. Eye contact is not a trivial gesture. It is the bridge between the conscious and the unconscious. Jung believed that the eyes are the mirrors of the soul, revealing hidden layers of the psyche. Freud, too, pointed out that what is exchanged in a glance often communicates more than words ever could. But here is what few men realize. Which eye you focus on alters the message her unconscious receives. When your right eye connects with her left, you are engaging the emotional and empathic side of her mind. It signals intimacy, warmth, and connection. This is how she feels truly seen, as if you are speaking directly to her heart, rather than angling for approval or conquest. Women crave this because it answers their unconscious question, am I safe with this man? If she feels safe, her defenses lower, and space for attraction opens. But when your left eye meets her right, you awaken the more logical and analytical side. This feels like dominance, clarity, and playfulness. It is what creates teasing energy, the spark of tension that borders on the erotic. Most men use eye contact mechanically, never realizing its potential. The advanced practice is to shift between the two, weaving intimacy with tension, safety with excitement. This dynamic keeps her unsettled in the best way, drawn toward you, unsure of what will come next, yet unwilling to look away. Freud explained that desire thrives in this balance of tension and release. Too much of one side, too much comfort or too much provocation, and the flame dies. But if you alternate, you create a rhythm her unconscious cannot resist. The second key lies in something modern science now calls mirror neurons. But Jung and Freud both described long before it was formally named. Jung spoke of psychic contagion, the tendency for emotions to ripple between individuals as if passed invisibly. Freud called it transference, the unconscious transfer of feelings, energy, even moods between people. What does this mean in practice? It means that the energy you bring to her will be mirrored back. If you radiate anxiety and neediness, she will feel uneasy and close off. If you embody calm self-possession, she will relax in your presence. If you bring playful curiosity, she will mirror it back with lightness. Consider how often men destroy their chances before they begin. They walk into an interaction nervous, apologetic, desperate for approval. That nervousness infects her unconscious. She feels what he feels, and attraction collapses. Contrast that with a man who enters with grounded ease, who enjoys himself without performance. His presence is magnetic. She cannot help but absorb that energy and return it. The practical application is simple, yet rare. Become intentional with your inner state. Freud wrote that unexpressed emotions never die. They are buried alive and will come forth later in uglier ways. If you hide insecurity, it leaks through. But when you cultivate genuine presence, when you truly feel enjoyment in the interaction, her psyche will align with yours. Attraction is not only in what you say or do, but in the unspoken atmosphere you create. This is why some men feel like they just click with women. They aren't doing anything more clever. They are embodying a state that resonates unconsciously. Jung believed that when two people meet, their shadows and projections immediately begin to converse beneath awareness. Mirror neurons, psychic contagion, transference, call it what you will. The principle is the same. She becomes what you are. If you want her to feel intrigued, carry an aura of mystery. If you want her to feel relaxed, embody calm strength. You set the tone, and her unconscious will follow. And yet, there is another deeper force that amplifies attraction: scarcity. The psyche is wired to desire what cannot be possessed too easily. This was described by psychologists as reactance theory, but Freud recognized it earlier as the forbidden drive toward what is denied. Jung, too, noted that we always desire what eludes us. This principle is the third key, and it explains why men who are too available extinguish attraction while those who guard their autonomy ignite it. Freud observed that human beings revolt when their freedom feels restricted. He called it the resistance of the ego, the stubborn insistence on autonomy. Modern psychology names this reactance theory. Yet Jung offered the deeper layer. Attraction flourishes when two souls maintain their independence. To dissolve entirely into another is to suffocate the flame. To stand apart, sovereign yet engaged, creates tension that draws two people closer. Think of the men who sacrifice everything the moment a woman enters their life. Canceling plans, abandoning pursuits, answering every call immediately. They believe this will secure affection, but it signals weakness. There is no challenge, no sense of value. As Jung remarked, the greatest tragedy of the family is the unlived lives of the parents. In love, the same principle applies. The tragedy of many men is the unlived life outside the relationship. When a man has no separate path, he becomes forgettable. Now imagine the man who maintains his own mission, his own friendships, his own inner world. He is not cruel, nor does he play games. He simply lives fully. That scarcity makes him magnetic. She begins to wonder, why doesn't he drop everything for me like others do? What does he have that keeps him so centered? This curiosity fuels desire. Freud noted that desire grows strongest when it is partially thwarted. A woman values what she must reach for, not what is handed freely. The paradox is that by holding to your independence, you increase her longing. This leads us to the fourth key, the dance between familiarity and novelty. Women's psyches are constantly weighing two needs. First, the need for safety. She must feel you are familiar, stable, and aligned. Second, the need for excitement. She must feel you are unpredictable enough to awaken desire. Too much familiarity and you fade into the background. Too much novelty and you become dangerous or unstable. The art lies in balancing both. Freud spoke of the repetition compulsion, the instinct to seek what is known, even if it harms. Jung countered with the principle of opposites, arguing that psychic vitality is born from tension, not comfort. Desire, then, requires both, the recognizable and the unknown. To embody this, begin by finding common ground, shared experiences, similar values. These make her unconscious whisper, "He is safe." But once safety is established, disrupt it gently. Reveal an unexpected passion, share an unusual perspective. Take the conversation somewhere she did not expect. Picture this. You discover you both love the same author or film. That's familiarity. Then, when she expects further agreement, you reveal that you also practice an obscure art form or pursue an unusual discipline. That's novelty. Jung warned that the meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. The spark comes from the tension, safe enough to trust, mysterious enough to chase. This balance must extend beyond words. Even your behavior should alternate. At moments, predictable. At others, surprising. A man who can be both her anchor and her storm will remain unforgettable. The psyche craves this duality because it reflects the very structure of human desire, the interplay of opposites that fuels life itself. But there is still one more key, one final psychological lever that decides whether you are merely liked or deeply desired. It concerns the way you grant and withhold validation. Both Freud and Jung recognized that the ego craves recognition, but recognition given too freely becomes worthless. To understand how selective validation shapes attraction is to master the unconscious dance of pursuit. Freud noted that the ego longs for recognition, but when it is indulged without limit, it weakens rather than strengthens. Jung took this further, teaching that what is given too freely loses all symbolic weight. This is the fifth key, the art of selective validation. Most men squander their influence by offering constant approval, complimenting everything, agreeing with everything, drowning a woman in praise that quickly becomes meaningless. A man who does this reduces his presence to background noise. She hears his words but feels no value in them. Instead, attraction deepens when validation is earned, complimenting her choices, her taste, her effort, her thoughtfulness, creates a far more powerful effect than praising her looks. Jung believed that the meeting of two personalities is like the collision of two psychic forces, and in that clash, recognition must carry weight. A simple example, if she tells you she is skilled in cooking, do not gush. Say instead, "Prove it. What's your best dish?" delivered with a subtle smile. This playful challenge stirs her unconscious to seek your approval, to demonstrate her worth in your eyes. Freud would call this the activation of desire through frustration. We value most what we must work for. This selective rhythm of giving and withholding validation mirrors the dance of courtship itself. It is not cruelty. it is tension. Too much validation and she becomes indifferent. Too little and she feels rejected. But the careful balance awakens her drive to pursue. In Jungian terms, you are engaging her shadow, the parts of herself she longs to integrate through recognition from another. You become not a supplicant, but a mirror of her deeper potential, and that is irresistible. These 5 psychological keys: eye contact that speaks to her unconscious, energy that she mirrors without knowing, the scarcity born of autonomy, the balance of safety and novelty, and the power of selective validation form the hidden architecture of attraction. They are not surface tricks. They are expressions of how the psyche is wired, principles Freud and Jung dedicated their lives to uncovering. Yet these alone are only fragments of the larger picture. If you wish to move beyond chance encounters and into mastery, you must learn the complete structure of how attraction unfolds. Right now, you have 2 paths before you. You can leave your dating life to chance, continuing to stumble in the dark, hoping chemistry appears on its own. Or you can step into mastery, guided by the same psychological truths that Freud and Jung illuminated. Truths that govern desire, whether you know them or not. As Jung warned, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. The question is whether you will allow fate to dictate your relationships, or whether you will finally seize control. So use these principles. Refuse to be the man who is always overlooked. Become the man whose presence lingers in her mind long after you leave. Remember, this is not about manipulation. It is about becoming the fullest version of yourself. A man who understands the psyche and engages it with strength, playfulness, and authenticity. When you do, women will not only notice you, they will desire you.